right, I am back from manifesting democracy. Thanks a lot, Larkness, for giving
This
us a chat.
is Democracy
And we'll have
Manifest.
next, we'll up have. I just got flabbergasted by our next guest, Phantomite. Phantomite, how you doing?
I'm good, thank you. You're having a good day.
I'm having an absolutely wonderful day. We get to hear from cool potential CSM members share their passion and just hear what they think is cool about Eve.
Excellent. Well, this is EVE Online is essentially my hobby, so I love it very much. So I hope I can deliver the same kind of sentiment.
All right, Phantomite. So I've had the good fortune of chatting with you quite a bit over the years. Before your time on the CSM, you were also on the CSM during CSM 15. But for those of us that might not be as familiar with who you are and what you do in the game, tell us a little bit about yourself, kind of like what you do, your areas of expertise, what you think is fun, and kind of like essentially the Phantomite's greatest hits.
Well, I've been playing EVE for at this stage over 16 years, and I joined EVE Online because I wanted to play in the sandbox that I had read stories in magazines about, stories written by the players. I joined the game and I was determined, and I knew that I was going to be the greatest hauler that this game has ever seen. And then 2 days later, I knew that I was going to do PvP forever instead. Um, I met up with some people who I knew from a forum that I was taking part in, and many of them are still friends down to this day. So I have been doing PvP for 16 years. I have played at what I would regard as all scales. I've played from solo all the way through to very large fleets, and I have flown frigates all the way up to super capital ships extensively with all of the different classes in between. These days, I have found that my favorite place is in the current iteration of faction warfare. It's offering very regular, very local, small to mid-scale PvP, and I'm having an absolutely great time doing that.
Right on. Good to hear that you're having a blast in a fairly newly revitalized feature. I see that you're flying with Sedition now, Gal Mill. At least you have a lot of targets that you can go for. So I guess they call that a target-rich environment.
It really is,
Um,
yeah.
so we talked a lot about your strengths, essentially PvP from the smallest to the very largest, from the most informal to the most structured. Where would you say is an area of the game that you're not really as confident in, or not as confident in, that you might be a bit of a blind spot for you?
Well, I have attempted a grand total of about half an hour of PI, and given that outside of EVE Online, a lot of my favorite games are simulations and production games, I feel that this is the perfect opportunity for to recommend some change from my experience with these production games. A lot of people have heard about Factorio and how addictive it is. There are other games like Space Chem, which I believe show a perfect blueprint as to what's possible with this. I know that a large number of regular users of PI are desperate to get away from the tedium aspects of it, and I think that this could potentially be the solution.
Right on. So we mentioned that you've been on the CSM before for CSM 15. We weren't able to scare you away. Why are you coming back for CSM 18?
I regard myself as a very resilient and somewhat relentless person. EVE Online, as I said, is my hobby, and I I know that with my experience from the past and my experience at virtually all scales of PvP, that I have seen the changes over the years, and so I know what has changed now that works better than it did in the past, and I know what worked in the past that isn't working as well now. So I think that very, very large numbers of the players, perhaps even most of the players, weren't playing before the Citadel era, and so they haven't seen some of the things that were great then, which could really do with some love now. I think that I'm the perfect person for that, for having played those and having played it currently and being able to compare them.
Right on. So the experience of being able to contextualize things that have existed before, gameplay styles that may have gone the way of the dodo, things like that. Very cool perspective to want to bring. When it comes to the CSM itself, obviously you've been on the CSM, so you've kind of seen how it worked before. But in your eyes, in your definition, what do you feel is the role of the CSM, and what would make a good CSM candidate?
I think that it actually changes from candidate to candidate. There's not one set of things that makes a great CSM. I think that what makes a great PvP candidate is, a broad range of experience, not just a guy who's only taken part in very large stuff, passing opinion on people who do very small stuff, and vice versa as well. All of these play styles need to exist for a healthy ecosystem. I think that what makes a great candidate in this regard is a level of honesty with yourself as a candidate. If you are capable of identifying not just other areas of the game that need work, but areas of your game that need work, even if you enjoy doing it the way that it currently is, I think that if you're honest about it with yourself, you can be honest about it in the meetings, and therefore you can really get a lot more done.
Yeah, very cool. So you've been on the CSM before. You kind of have some idea of what type of voter might want to vote for you, but just kind of bringing it up to the CSM 18. You've mentioned that there are new breeds of people out there. So who do you view as the type of person that would vote for Phantomite, and who's the type of voter that you're hoping that you can kind of sway and convince them to vote for you?
I want to appeal to people who are looking to fight, and I want people to be able to imagine a world where PvP as a profession is a much more realistic prospect than it is now. There will be people who do and people who don't remember things like passive moons in the past. And that was really something that's gone away that allowed PvP as a profession to exist for large groups. And I want people to be able to be offered that playstyle again.
All right, and another element of being on the CSM, as you're well aware, comes down to communication. Not only being able to hear ideas from players, but to relay some thoughts back to them that you might have heard from CCP. Keeping that in mind, how do you plan on, or rather, how would you, for your CSM 18 variant, communicate with players? How would you facilitate those conversations? Is probably the best way to put it.
Well, the best way to contact me, and indeed the best way to contact most CSM members, is through Discord. Um, there's not one direct message that I don't answer. I will and have very enthusiastically, I will talk to individuals in text or voice. I will talk to entire groups in text or voice. I have my own Discord, the link of which is on phantomite.com. Um, and I really enjoy discussing, debating, and listening to people's concerns about various game mechanics. Um, People have typically not been ever able to ever find me not alert and ready to respond. Even today, as an example, I was cloaked in a system in lowsec, deserted. Somebody passed through. They waved to me in local and they said, "Good luck for my CSM campaign." I I message these people. I immediately start a conversation with them. I attack them with communication. We had a great chat after that, and I hope that that means that they feel comfortable to message me anytime.
Nice. That's a good thing to do. Being able to chat with people in game and strike up the most unlikely of conversations. That's kind of one of my favorite parts of Eve Online. But kind of bringing it back to you a little bit, you've served on the CSM before, as we've mentioned a few times. Um, there aren't that many people still running for the CSM back from your term. So, based on the candidate pool that you have now of 48 incredibly qualified different candidates, who are like one or two? I'll let you go to three if you absolutely have to. that you think would serve well to be in, like, with you on the CSM? Someone that you think you might vibe with, someone that might balance out your expertise a little bit, or someone that you're just kind of excited to work with?
Well, I'll spare you a long list. I will go with just one. I will be publishing a recommended ballot and why on my Discord tomorrow. Um, but one person I'd like to single out in particular is Drake Idon. He is, as many people have found, yourself included today, he's a very cheeky person, but he has a level of wit and thoughtfulness about issues that makes him a strong voice in debates and presentations.
All right, right on. Drake, he kind of stormed onto the scene last year. He's now more of a seasoned, refined, cheeky candidate, as you put him. I think last year he ran with a seagull mask on, and he's still around to tell the tales. So impressed on that front. But Phantomite, our 10 minutes is almost over. I can't believe this is blown by. I've got two remaining questions for you. One, are you on any other shows or podcasts that players want to know a little bit more about you and your campaign?
At 22:30 tonight, I will be on Jita News Network on Twitch, and it is a discussion, a debate specifically surrounding the hotly contested and important topic of Anciblex.
I can't wait to hear that one. It's kind of a little bit more of a structured show compared to the CSM Royale, of which you have won at least once. So curious to see how that works out. And then finally, should you get elected to CSM 18, are we going to see a caterpillar above your lip? Are you going to grow a mustache?
My plan for CSM 18 is to repeatedly grow and shave a moustache so that I can become intimately familiar with the mechanics of it.
All right, you will be, a mustache expert by the end of CSM 18. Well, great to hear from you, Phantomite. We wish you the best of luck. Look
Thank you.
forward to hearing a little bit more about you on the various other shows that you'll be on. But for now, we've got to get our next candidate ready. So we'll be back in just a bit.